Hey everyone, Theo here. This is my artist review of the Microsoft Surface Pro 8, which was launched in October 2021. And here in Singapore, it was launched in February, which is 4 months later, which explains why my review is so late. So I have a lot to talk about. This video is going to be long, so if you want to save time, you can check out the text review that I have already written, or use the timestamps provided to jump to different sections of this video. Let me give you the bottom line up front. So the Microsoft Slim Pen 2, which is the pen that I'm using, is a huge improvement over the Surface Pen that's made for the Surface Pro 1 to Surface Pro 7. More specifically, when you draw diagonal lines slowly, there is no longer the wobble or the jitter. So this new pen is noticeably more accurate and can actually compete with the Apple Pencil and the Samsung S Pen. The Surface Slim Pen 2 is sold separately for US $130. The important thing to note is you cannot attach the pen to the side of the tablet for charging. There is no USB port for charging, and the battery is built in. So to charge the pen, you have to buy a separate charger, or you can buy one of several accessories that can be used to charge the pen. For example, the Surface Signature keyboard can charge the pen because it has this charging slot here. The pen has good pressure sensitivity support. More specifically, it has low initial activation force, and it can detect changes with minimal pressure very easily. The lines can also taper quite smoothly. Overall performance of the 11th Gen Intel i5 quad-core processor is smooth and lag-free when it comes to drawing and general use like web browsing, doing document work. However, if you really want to push your system, if you want to open many apps, export photos or videos in the background, then I highly recommend you get more RAM and the i7 processor. The main downside of the Surface Pro 8 and all Surface devices is the battery life. I was able to get 5 to 6 hours of battery life. The battery life will vary significantly depending on what you do on the tablet. I'll talk more about that later on. Overall, I'm quite satisfied with the design, the hardware, and the performance, and due to the improved accuracy of the pen, this is now a tablet I can recommend without hesitation to artists for creating art. The main downside for me really is the battery life. I wish it could be longer. Alright, on to the detailed review. Let me start by talking about the pricing. So these are the official US retail prices. The base model, which is the one that I purchased, comes with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of SSD storage and the Intel Core i5 processor. The price is US $1,099. Since the Surface Pro 8 has been out for several months, there are occasionally pretty good discounts and promotions and bundles. So currently this is the promotion on Microsoft's website. They have $100 off. I've seen the price go down to $899. In fact, right now at the time of review, it's $899 on Amazon.com. By the way, if you have intention to buy the tablet from Amazon, do consider using the affiliate links that I have for you in the video description below. It helps me put out more reviews such as the one that you're watching now. So 128 gigs of SSD storage, in my opinion, is not enough for professional creative use, because in the real world, the actual capacity is actually 117 gigs, and Windows 11 takes up around 20 gigs of storage, so you're left with 97 gigs. After you install some apps, maybe you're left with 70 or 80 gigs. And on my tablet, I'm just left with 40 gigs of storage after I install all the things I needed. The good news is the internal SSD is user upgradable. You just have to pop open this cover to access the SSD. This is the M.2 2230 SSD. You just have to unscrew this to replace it and go through the hassle of reinstalling Windows 11 again. If you really want to push your system, I highly recommend you get at least 16 gigs of RAM if possible. Between the Intel i5 and i7 processor, if you are going to be editing and exporting a lot of photos and videos, definitely go with the i7. But otherwise, for drawing purposes, using Photoshop, Clip Studio, i5 is more than powerful enough. In terms of value for money, if you can get the tablet at 100 or 200 US dollars off the official retail price, that is a reasonable deal. It would be great if you can get it bundled with either the keyboard case or the Slim Pen 2. And let me emphasize again that if you get this separately, you have to buy a separate charger for the pen. Let's take a look at the items included in the box. I have already taken out the items. It's just these four: the power cable, power adapter, warranty info, and a quick start guide. This is a 65-watt charger, and this is the proprietary charging connector that Microsoft is still using. The Surface Pro 8 supports USB-C charging as well. However, it has certain power requirements, so not all USB-C chargers are compatible. For example, I was able to charge this with a 30-watt charger, but not with a 100-watt charger. Microsoft is still using the Surface connector because they are still selling their Surface Dock, which can give you access to more USB-C ports and Ethernet. If you're wondering whether you should get the keyboard case, well, this is a good keyboard case, and there are two variations of this keyboard case. This is the one that I have. The other one comes with a fingerprint sensor here, which is more expensive. The keys have good travel. The overall typing experience is good, very good. And the touchpad is kind of small but functional. There is a slot here for you to charge the Slim Pen 2, and you can push this up to cover the bezels at the bottom of the tablet. The overall build quality of this keyboard case is very good. The material they use on the surface is Alcantara, so it's this matte textured surface which feels really nice to touch. The keys have backlight, and there's a print screen shortcut button there. The only thing I don't quite like about this keyboard is there is no control button on the right side, which I actually use a lot. This keyboard case only protects the screen, it doesn't protect the sides. The weight of the keyboard case together with the tablet and the pen is close to 1.2 kg. Design of the Surface Pro 8 looks good. We have thin bezels on the side, thicker bezels at the top and bottom. There's a 5 megapixel front-facing camera with face unlock, which works effectively and is fast. Speakers here and here, they are front-facing, and the audio quality is good. It's loud and it's clear. We have rounded corners. The edges by the side of the glass display are beveled, and you can see there is this tilted angle here, which makes it easier for you to lift the tablet off from the table. This is actually the bottom of the tablet, so this is the kickstand. There are fan grills at the top and runs down both sides of the tablet. Fan noise is not audible with normal usage unless you are exporting videos in the background. This is the volume control, a 3.5mm audio jack, and at the bottom here we have the latch for the kickstand. The kickstand is this whole piece here, and it's attached to the back magnetically, so you can push this out very easily. The hinge is surprisingly stiff, which is fantastic, which means you can actually deploy this at very low angle and the tablet will not sink down. On the other side, we have the power button. Two USB-C ports. These are Thunderbolt 4 and USB Gen 4, so the transfer speed is really fast. And this is the Surface connector port. At the bottom of the tablet is the connector for the keyboard case, and the design of the back is very clean and simple. The surface is matte textured. That's the 10 megapixel camera. Behind the kickstand, you can find a cover for the M.2 2230 SSD that you have seen earlier. Now the weight of the tablet alone is 891 grams, which to me is on the heavier side. Let me unlock this. So that's how fast the face unlock is. Because the bezels are so thin on the side, when you hold the tablet like this, chances are you are going to activate or click on something. It is not comfortable to hold the tablet this way with this small bezel while you actively avoid touching the display, and also due to the weight, even though this tablet is now resting on the table, I'm holding it with one hand, it's quite tiring. So you will have to deploy the kickstand, which is to say that if you are using this tablet on your lap and holding it like this, it's going to get tiring really quick. You have to deploy the kickstand. By the way, this tablet that I have actually has hardware defect with the display. I need to mention this in case you are able to spot some weird pattern on the left side of the display. So you see this pattern that comes down at an angle. This is actually beneath the glass, and also the backlight for this area is flickering. So I need to send this in for servicing. And I want to take this opportunity to mention that you can actually buy extended warranty for the Surface Pro. You can extend the warranty from 1, 2 to 3 additional years. Resolution of this 13-inch display is 2880 by 1920, so the aspect ratio is 3:2, which is a good aspect ratio for a display at this size. So there is no noticeable pixelation. With a Spider 5 Pro color calibrator, I measured color support for 99% sRGB. So this is essentially a 100% or 99% sRGB display. If you need better color accuracy, like 100% O2B RGB, you can always connect an external monitor to the tablet. Viewing angles for this tablet is pretty good. There is minimal color shift when viewing the tablet from extreme angles. It's just that the glass, it's very reflective. I measured a maximum brightness of 352 nits, which is good for use indoors and outdoors as long as you're not under direct sunlight. I always have problems with auto brightness on Windows laptops and tablets, so I'm very happy to say that auto brightness works on this tablet very effectively. The Surface Pro 8 can actually support up to 120 Hz refresh rate. You can choose between these 3 options. There is also adaptive refresh rate, which can switch between 60 and 120. So let's switch to 120 Hz. Even with 120 Hz refresh rate, there will still be latency when you are drawing. More specifically, you will still see a gap as the line is trying to catch up with the pen tip. Except with 120 Hz refresh rate, the animation of the line that appears, it's quite smooth compared to 60 Hz refresh rate where the line will come out block by block. So this is the latency response you can expect with Photoshop, Clip Studio, Midiband Paint, basically all the drawing apps. The 120 Hz refresh rate does make the visual and user experience better. For example, when you are browsing the web and scrolling web pages, the scroll is really smooth, it's silky smooth. And when you minimize apps and expand apps, that animation of the minimize and expanding, that is very smooth. And when you're using apps, when you zoom in and out, this animation, it's very smooth. However, the battery life is going to take a hit if you use this at 120 Hz or with adaptive refresh rate, which is why I only use this at 60 Hz. Let's take a closer look at the Microsoft Slim Pen 2, which is sold separately for US $129. There is no charger included, so you have to spend some money to buy another accessory just to charge the pen. The design of this pen is quite interesting. It's shaped like the carpenter's pencil. It's flat. It's quite easy to get used to this design after using it for a few days. There is one side button here, which is the right-click button. There is another button at the back, which is customizable to select the shortcuts. You can also use this as an eraser. The pen tip is hard, it's solid, it's also tapered. This is plastic and it's quite smooth on the glass. This is replaceable. You can pull this out very easily. And you can put it back very easily as well. Slim Pen 2 supports tilt sensitivity and it works quite well. It also supports slightly over 4,000 levels of pressure sensitivity. And this pen has some sort of haptic feedback feature. So with compatible apps, for example, this is Concepts, when you draw with minimal pressure, the pen is going to glide very smoothly on the glass. However, when you press down harder, when you apply more pressure, you will start to feel the vibration on the pen. The haptic feedback is a cool feature, but to me it's a gimmick, because when you are drawing, the pen tip is still very smooth on the glass surface. You're not really getting real friction. If you want real friction, you may want to just apply a matte screen protector over the display. So the pen tip, I wouldn't say it's that slippery, but it's certainly very smooth. The pen will produce micro vibration to simulate probably friction. You won't hear any noise though. By the way, palm rejection, it's perfect. So if I use my finger to draw on the screen, in this case it's going to pan around the canvas, so I won't be able to introduce any stray strokes even if I want to with my finger or palm. And there are very few apps that actually support haptic feedback. Of all the drawing apps that I've tested, only Adobe Fresco and Concepts support haptic feedback. Photoshop, Clip Studio, Medibank Paint, Sketchbook Pro, Sketchable, they all don't support haptic feedback. One thing I don't quite like about this pen is the back button is customizable, but it's only customizable to pre-programmed shortcuts. Let me show you. So you can press once to call up the pen shortcut. You can write notes, do a screenshot over a portion of the screen, or you can go into the pen settings. So you can customize the shortcuts that go with a single click, double click, or press and hold. And if you take a look at the options here, you cannot customize a keyboard shortcut to the back button. And now for the line quality test, I'll be comparing the Slim Pen 2 with the older Surface Pen. The red lines will be from the Surface Pen, and the black lines will be from the Slim Pen 2. Let's start with the Surface Pen first. I'm not using a ruler because for some reason my ruler actually interferes with the line quality. So I'm trying to draw this as low as I possibly can, and you can see slight wobble with diagonal lines. Let's switch over to the Slim Pen 2. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the lines are slightly straighter. There is less noticeable jitter and wobble. If you're not buying this tablet for drawing, you can actually just go with the older Surface Pen to save money. Both pens are just really great at taking notes. With the older Surface Pen, the battery is user replaceable. And this is how the lines taper. The lines can taper rather smoothly. How the line tapers will also depend on the app you use, and it seems like the lines can taper more sharply with Clip Studio. The pen has good support for pressure sensitivity and has minimal initial activation force. So this means you can draw thin lines very easily, have the lines become thick, and go back to drawing the thin lines. Dots can be drawn easily by just tapping on the display, and because the pen tip is hard, the tapping sound is more audible compared to the older Surface Pen, which has a rubberized tip. The last thing I want to show you is whether the pen can maintain consistent pressure to draw lines with consistent width. What I'm trying to avoid here is having the lines thickness change while you are drawing. Pen is quite consistent, so you can maintain consistent pressure to draw lines with consistent width easily. Let's talk more about the drawing performance while I draw something. So the hinge is actually quite stiff. You can deploy the tablet at this angle, hold the tablet, and you can press down and draw, and the tablet will not sink that easily. If you have the tablet at a lower angle, then when you press down, it's going to sink more easily. This to me is a tabletop tablet, so when drawing I always have it on a proper stand. This is the Pablo PR100 stand with adjustable height. This is my preferred layout when it comes to drawing with this tablet. This 13-inch display with the 3:2 aspect ratio is a wonderful size to work with. This is how big the tablet is compared to this A5 size sketchbook and this A4 piece of paper. It's slightly smaller than A4 paper, so you can actually fit palettes on the left and right and still get a good amount of canvas space to work with. Let's just draw something really quickly. This button here is actually a button that I would press very often, not on purpose though. So when you press this, nothing happens, which is great. Actually, that's the right click button. When you're drawing and you press the button, nothing happens, which is very important because you don't want interruptions when you are drawing. Or you can just turn the pen over to the other side, and this way there is no way for you to press that button accidentally. So this is actually a street scene sketch. It's the type of sketch that I would draw when I'm out sketching on locations outdoors. But as mentioned earlier, this is a tabletop tablet. I mean, if I bring this tablet outdoors, I can rest it on my lap to draw, but the main issue with this tablet is battery life. If you use this outdoors, chances are you are going to get maybe 5 hours of battery life because the brightness will go all the way up due to the environment lighting. It's going to be quite bright outdoors unless you're using the tablet indoors. So 5 or 6 hours of battery life to me is not that great. And when you consider the battery life of just 5 to 6 hours, it means you have to charge the tablet almost every day. And you know that there are actually life cycles for lithium batteries. I think it's up to 300 or 500 cycles where the capacity would then drop significantly. So if you charge this every day, 1 year later, you're going to charge this 300 over times. So the battery life is not that great now. 1 year later, it's going to be worse. So that is the downside of Surface devices. The battery life is just not that great. When it comes to drawing, this new pen, I actually really like the new pen. It's more sensitive and more importantly, it's more accurate. So now when you draw, you don't have to worry that much about those wobbly diagonal lines. So one of the main problems with the older Surface pen is when you draw, the lines can be quite can wobble quite a bit. But this new pen, it's much better. Now for my style, you can see the lines, they are quite wavy, so it whether the line has jitter or wobble is not that obvious for my style of art. But if you are drawing, if you need extra level of precision, for example, if you are drawing comics where you need the lines to be consistent, very predictable, then this time I think Microsoft, the pen, it has reached a level where you may actually where you can actually create professional comic art on it. The main issue that affects the line quality is actually not the pen, it's how slippery the display is. So if you want tactile drawing experience, you may want to apply a matte screen protector on this. It would really help a lot. But of course, if you apply a matte screen protector, it's going to affect the image quality of the display. The matte screen protector is going to make the image look more grainy, and if you are using the tablet outdoors with a matte screen protector, the anti-glare, it's going to diffuse the light until the whole screen is quite bright and can be quite glaring to your eyes. At least that's from my personal experience when it comes to using matte screen protector. When you're using matte screen protectors at home, it's fine. So far the lines, they are coming out just the way I expect them to. I don't notice additional wobble or jitter that I do with the older Surface Pen. So far I have been drawing with my palm on the display, and I did not experience any palm rejection issues. More specifically, I did not click on any of the layers or the brushes here accidentally. So palm rejection actually works quite well. Okay, I like the initial activation force. I can draw thin lines very easily. So far I have only been using this single brush with this single thickness, so I'm able to get a good variety of line thickness just by varying the pressure that I apply with the brush. Let me just rotate this so that I can draw this line a bit more easily. Finger gestures work quite well. So this tablet that I have here has only 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of SSD storage. If you want to make this tablet your main device, like your all-in-one computer, definitely get more RAM if you have the budget to do so. 8 gigs is alright, it's usable, but more RAM will allow you to have more apps open at the same time without lag, without introducing lag. But even with 8 gigs, I'm still able to open quite a number of apps without lag and switch between all the different apps without any lag or issue. If you are into editing videos, you can get the Intel i7 processor. Otherwise, the Intel i5 is more than good enough for drawing purposes and for general use. Alright, there are many cables or wires hanging out here in front of the building, so I can draw those cables with very thin lines very easily. Let's draw the little air conditioning unit here. The display is laminated, so when you're drawing there is no gap between the line and the pen tip. So when you're drawing, it really looks like the line is appearing directly beneath the pen tip. The cursor is always directly beneath the pen tip regardless of the angle of the pen. So you can hold the pen vertically or at a very low angle, and the cursor will always be directly beneath the pen tip. So I've just colored the whole thing, and this sketch is almost done. I just need to add some textures. So I've been using this tablet at maximum brightness for the duration of this drawing, and the tablet does get warm, but it's not uncomfortably warm. The temperature will be quite similar to what you would get when you are charging the tablet. And even though the tablet's quite warm, the fans did not kick in, so I wasn't able to hear any fan noise at all. I didn't face many issues while drawing this. I did not have to undo that often because the lines, they come out just the way I expect them to. I did not have to undo that often because I don't have to correct for the line quality because the pen performance has improved noticeably compared to the older Surface Pen. My overall drawing experience on this tablet is very positive. Let me show you a couple of drawings that I've drawn on the tablet. So this app is Concepts, which is a vector illustration app. I like this app because I can zoom in all the way and the line quality, it's still very sharp because this is vector. I like the flat coloring style of this app. This is my 1.5-month-old daughter. Alright, to conclude, I like the Surface Pro 8. If you're looking for a tablet that can double as a computer, this is definitely the option to check out. The performance is pretty good with the Intel 11th Gen processor, and you can upgrade it to i7 processor. The main thing about this tablet this time around is actually the improved accuracy and pressure sensitivity of the pen. So now the drawing performance is better than before, and this is a tablet I can recommend for or to professional artists for drawing, for graphic design work. The main downside of this tablet to me would be the battery life. So if you are drawing on the tablet at maximum brightness, you can expect maybe 4.5 hours of battery life. If you are just writing, doing office type work, watching YouTube videos, surfing the web at auto brightness, you can probably get 6.5, maybe 7 hours of battery life. Oh, one last thing before you go. If you have intention to buy this tablet, consider using the Amazon affiliate links that I have for you in the video description below to support my YouTube channel and my work. Thanks for watching. I hope this review is helpful. See you again. Bye.